Okay, good morning, everyone. A very, very good morning here from Haditch. Anyway, as I don't have to say in words what's happening over here, the feeling over here, something else. And even though it's not the month of Tishrei anymore, here, there are more pages over here. Even though it's not Tishrei anymore, I feel like I want to sing a nigun from Tishrei because there's a sense of malchus here. There's really this sense of kingdom, of royal regalness that's so evident and so apparent. And there's one of the Alter Rebbe's nigunim. This nigun always puts me right in the zone, no matter what's happening in my life. You all know this nigun, so to sing this over here next to the Alter Rebbe is something else, otherworldly, completely otherworldly. Ay 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 ma 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 da da dee dam ay da da dam da da dam ay ma ay 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 ma 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 ay da da dam ay mam ay ay ma 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 da da dee dam ay da da dam ay mam ay ay ma 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 Avinu Malkeinu Ein lanu melech Ein lanu melech Ela ata Avinu Malkeinu Ein lanu melech Ein lanu melech Ela ata Dididai adamam Oy ayam Ay ayamam Ayamam didididam Ayamam Ay ayam didididam Ay ayamam Ay didididam Ayamam Ay ayamam Ayamam didididam Ay didididam Ayamam ay 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 ayamam oh yenana dedadam ayamam ay ayamam ay dedadam ayamam ay ayamam Oy Avinu Malkeinu Ein lanu melech Ein lanu melech Ela ata Avinu Malkeinu Ein lanu melech Ein lanu melech Ela ata Dididai anayadam Ay ayam Ayamam Ayamam Dididadam Ayanamam Ay ayam Ayayayam. Hashem Yichud Kudsha Brichu Shchinte B'tchilu Rechimul Yachad Shivun Kebav Ki B'chud Hashlim B'Shem Kol Yisrael. This is so special. This is mamash so special. Mamash mitragesh. There are 2 more seats up here if anybody needs. Usually when I'm very in awe, I sound like Shimon. I start talking lower. So if you don't hear me, just tell me to speak up. But I want to learn this piece from the Alter Rebbe with you. And this is a piece from the middle of a mimer, a very famous mimer, a discourse from the Alter Rebbe's Perush in the Torah, from Parshas Vayikra, called Adam Ki Yakriv Mikem, about korbanos. But we all know today, instead of korbanos, what do we have? Tefillah. So it's in the topic of davening. However, it's a specific nikuda that I think is relevant to what we're experiencing, what we've been experiencing this week, and what you're going to experience when you go back to your home. And the question is a very clear question that we're going to address right now, that I'm sure you all want to know the answer to. How do highs last? How do highs last? So I just want to acknowledge a few things. I want you to acknowledge a few things. A few very important things. One is that each of you worked hard. Each of you worked very hard to be on this trip. Each of you sacrificed a lot to be on this trip. I'm not just talking about finances. I'm talking about, I want you to acknowledge all the sidurim that you did in your life in order to make sure that you can be on this trip. Why is that important? Because sometimes when we feel this sense of unworthiness, it's because we're kind of not sure how to relate to a world of matnas chinam, that everything is a gift, but it's important to keep in mind the sacrifice, the korbanos, the hakrava that you did. For some of you, it was arranging 50 million different little details and setting up sandwich bags and changing schedules and rescheduling things. For some of you, it was literally going into a mental state of hakrava, of saying, I'm throwing all the I'm throwing all the cynicism and sarcasm that I was like for a while. I'm putting it on the side and I'm doing this. But whatever it is, it's important that we own the hakrava, the sacrifice that we did, in order to allow ourselves to have a week with the tzaddikim. And you'll see why that's important in order to answer the question, how do highs last? Anyone that's learned Chassidus has learned 2 concepts, which is called isarusa dile'ela and isarusa diletata. Itaruta means hitorerut, dile'ela, milamala, an awakening from above, that we have much less to do with, meaning we have much less on an activation level. We don't really activate that. You feel an awakening from above. But what we do have very much shaykhs to is itaruta diletata, an awakening that happens from below. Meaning that I have some sense of an activation button on that type of awakening. We always think that it's so much higher to just feel awakenings from above, which is actually true. It is a higher sensation. But the Alter Rebbe is going to give us clear advice, very healthy advice as to how to go about this. I think there's one more page over here if anyone needs, right? Oh, there's a few more pages. Okay. Thank you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is mind-blowing. Thank you. So the Alter Rebbe says like this, Dehine anu ro'im sheyesh shtei madrigos ba'avoda. There are 2 levels when it comes to Avodas Hashem. Ha'achas, one of them is the bechinas isarusa diletata, hitorerut milemala mitzad ha'adam. One level is the awakening from below. That means from me. I did something. That's why I was talking before about what you did in order to come on the trip. That's just one example of hitorerut milamata. Bigiat nefesh, bigiat basar. With the avoda, I used energy both soulfully and literally, physically. I did something to create the opportunity to be awakened. Beha'amakat hadat, with deepening my knowledge. Behitbonenut velev nishbar, with introspection, contemplation, and broken heartness. Now, in a good way, cracking my heart open. Remember, a broken heart is one that's open. She'al yedei zeh yavo benafsho gilui or kirvat elokim, that through the methods mentioned before, what I did, whatever it is that was in my power to do, my avoda, my hakrava, my sacrifice, that whatever I did, I tried to create a situation that in my nefesh will come a revelation of the closeness of the light of Hashem. That I did something. I cracked open a petach, an opening, to sense the closeness of the light of Hashem to be revealed to me. V'hainu be'is arusa dilisata isarusa dilaela. And this is what it means when it says that when you have an awakening from below, you cause yourself to feel the awakening from above. Al yedei hitorerut milamata ba'a hitorerut milamala. Meaning you're working this way. You're working from below and you're going up. Now, keep this imagery in the front of your mind and then in the depth of your heart, okay? I'm starting from here, and here it's painful. Remember the night before you went on the trip? Remember the week before you went on the trip? Remember whatever it was? Isarusa dila tata, isarusa dila eila. That's one madriga. Second paragraph. Umadriga hashniya haynu shelefamim yuchal liot hispailus benefesh shelo al yedei hachana v'yigiat chlal. Did it ever happen to you that your soul is sensing some kind of elated experience, some kind of emotion that you did nothing in order to activate? It wasn't, you didn't do anything to it. It was just like you have these pilus of the nefesh. Suddenly, out of nowhere, you feel so high. No? Didn't happen to anybody?
Not so much.
Not yet.
Yeah.
No. Meaning, you didn't. It wasn't something that you prepared. You didn't have to do a lot of hakrava. You didn't have to do a lot of soul-searching, introspection, cracking your heart open. But there was a moment of a boom. Listen, it can happen it happens quite often with music at concerts. It can happen. It can happen. I don't know. There's no detail. There's no specifics. It's to each person. This can happen differently. But it's called itaruta dilet eila. It's not, you didn't do anything. It's just some kind of a boom coming down from Shemayim, like a bolt of light just shining upon you. Second line, he says, what is this likened to? People that out of nowhere just start to wake up. It wasn't because they went through deep introspections and contemplations and asked their questions, did their research. It was just this sense of I saw the light. Okay? I saw the light. Ve'islaiv libam umocham betfila meshech zman ma bli noda lehem hasiba me'ayin ba lehem yis'oreru zo. And their heart and mind will be enthusiastic and passionate in davening for a certain amount of time without knowing the reason where this awakening showed up from. The only thing is that after a while, you know what happens to this awakening? Fades away. Like it ends. It ends. This type of awakening is not everlasting. It's real, and what you felt was real. However, it doesn't stay. It doesn't gradually go up. In fact, it gradually kind of fades away. This second type of awakening. V'anafkuta. Ever hear when you learn Gemara, nafka mina. What does nafka mina means? Va yotze mizeh. Nafka means come out. V'anafkuta, what comes out of it, the difference between bein mashe be'itaruta dilatata, itaruta dila'ela, ubein ha'itaruta dilatata hanimshach rak mitzad itaruta dila'ela. So what's the difference between the two, lemaisa? Shekasher yesh itaruta dilatata mamash al yedei yegiat nefesh, when there's an awakening from below, mamish, through, I'm trying to find a better word for yegi'ah here, toiling. Would that be good? The toiling of the soul. Like women going up to the microphone and pouring out their heart and soul yesterday. If that's not Yegias HaNefesh, I don't know what is. Or sleeping for 3 hours and waking up to learn Torah. Or less. שכאשר יש איסרוסא דילתתא ממש על ידי יגיעס נפש, אזי הוא דבר שיכול להתקיים לעד. This is something that can be everlasting and that can miskayem, can exist forever. שהרי על ידי איתרותא דילתתא נתעורר איתרותא דלעילא, because this type of awakening from below causes that high to be awakened to. So there's a base down here for such a high up there. It can last. It has a home. Vehi ha'meira u'mizgala b'nefesh b'vchina pnimis. This shines and is revealed in the soul in a pnimi kind of way, in an inside kind of way. This brings me to a shir we had, I think, last week in our home. We learned the Bilvavi Mishkan Evne. We usually learn it by Miriam. Just the last 3 weeks we've been learning it in our home. And the Bilvavi Mishkan Evne was speaking about unconditional love. Ahava she'eina tluya b'davar. And he spoke about how do you know if you've tapped into the concept of love that's unconditional, is if the hislavus, if the enthusiasm is something that's very much exciting, but it's exciting in a way that no one can tell. Meaning that it's happening deep down inside, but it's not this thing of like you're starting to dance and give out stickers or I don't know what. No, I don't mean it.
Just by way of example.
I shouldn't have said, I don't know. I'm thinking about the guys on Vans. I'm thinking about the guys on Vans giving out, all those things. Chas v'shalom, God forbid. I'm really sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Mechila. Not just giving out stickers, meaning that you're showing there's a need to show everyone what's happening to you. He's speaking that unconditional love is this sense inside that inside there's burning passion. You can't, and you don't even know how to show it because it's brewing inside of you, but there's some kind of excitement that's only happening inside. Slavus
Pnimis.
Pnimis.
Said that if you speak about it, it almost cheapens it.
Because you're releasing it, nachon. Exactly. So these words come to mind when he says, "V'hi me'ira mizgal b'nefesh b'vchina pnimis." This type of awakening that we're speaking about, it shines inside of you in an inner type of way. Why? Kevan shehechin libo lezet tchila. Because you prepared your heart for what you're about to feel. As opposed to those moments of, the Rebbe says you didn't prepare your heart for anything. So the heart is not a kli to contain anything, to keep it inside. But when you did the work, when you did the Yegias HaNefesh, you prepared your heart to be a kli in order for something to be placed in there and have a healthy place to reside. ולכן על ידי זה ייתן כוח ועוז בנפשו ליאס עוד איסרוס דילסתא. And by this, you give more strength and power for your soul to have more and more awakening of below. You're like, wow, I did this trip. I did this. This was real. I showed up. Well, that means that when I go back to my home, that whatever started waking up here, this is real. This can happen. This can continue. Because I've learned how to prepare my heart. The very famous song that's become more famous over the last few years, Le'adam mar cheled u'me Hashem ma'aneh lashon. What does that mean? Le'adam ma'ar chelev. What do I have? I have ma'arechet of a lev. I have the ma'arechet,
Framework.
the framework, thank you, of a heart. Meaning I could set up to the extent that tzaddikim have taught me to be in tune with my heart. I can prepare it, but Hashem maneh lashon. What happens afterwards, the answer to the speech that comes from my heart, that's Hashem. Maximum ishtadlus, zero expectations. Hashem maneh lashon. So the Rebbe says, the more that you mechin your lev, the more that you prepare your heart, the more that you can continue to train your heart to be prepared for moments of awakening. Next paragraph. But when there's no toiling, mitzad the nefesh and the flesh down here, meaning I wake up, I didn't do anything, I haven't prepared anything, but I walk down the street and then suddenly I see the holiest person in the world and I get this zets of, oh my God, I want to be holy. It's true. You'll run to shul, you'll run to the mikvah, you'll run and do a chesed, you'll run and take on a mitzvah, bless you. But you didn't prepare your heart for it. So even though that motion is real, there's no real hemshech or kiyum for it because it doesn't have a kli to continue. Your nefesh was just awakened from some kind of an awakening from above. And he didn't prepare his heart afterwards for what comes afterwards. This wonderment, this amazing moment of awe can come and be real and pass faster than you could have ever imagined. And you're stuck there and you're saying, was that real? But when you prepare your heart, you never ask the question, was that real? When you prepare your heart, you're not stuck with that question afterwards. Was this real, what I experienced? A lot of people like to, make jokes, Chabadskers, they daven so late. Do you know why it happened like this, that davening is a little bit later in Lubavitch? Why? What are you supposed to be doing? You think you wake up at 9:50 and you start davening at 10? The Alter Rebbe in another Maimer gives very clear instructions what you're supposed to be doing. There's 3 things you're supposed to be doing before you daven. Essentially, it's called the 3 methods of preparing your heart. You're supposed to go to the mikvah, you're supposed to give tzedakah, and you're supposed to do what he says, learn sifrei musar. That doesn't mean the musar like we're accustomed to, per se. It could, but that's not what it's referring to. It means learning a piece of Chassidus, because really, if Chassidus isn't musar, I don't know what is musar. That takes time. So by the time that you're busy davening, your heart's prepared to be a kli for the awakening that you're going to experience. But the world that we live in, unfortunately, is so often, what time is shul? 7:45. So I'll get there at 7:46. I feel so bad. I'm going to do tshuva on this, but with Hashem, if you daven for me. When we were learning Tanya before davening, our shachris was something else. We would learn for half hour, 45 minutes before davening, and then we'd start davening. It was a different shachris. Schedules changed. We changed the time of the minyan too. Everything's different, and it hasn't happened this year. But it was a different sense. We didn't show up to shul. We showed up to our hearts, and we prepared our hearts, and then we davened, and it was something else. Mamish something else. Bless you. 3rd line in this bottom paragraph over here. Ki behistolek he'ara elyon azol, when this high moment of enlightenment fades, she'eina me'ira rak be'es ratzon, that it only shines in a moment of will, meaning in a special moment of just boom, poofs coming down. He says something very sad here. Azai haya kelo haya hayitpalut. You know what that means? It's as if it wasn't. Bless you. It's as if it wasn't. It's as if what you experienced and it felt so real in the moment, you start, and this is one of the worst things that can happen to you, you start doubting your own sensations. You start doubting your own experiences. You start doubting the authenticity of what you go through in life. When that starts happening, that's the petach hashar for a world, that's the opening of a lot of confusion and a lot of sadness and painful experiences for the soul when you doubt what you feel. Because It was as if it wasn't, because it just came from above, and just like it came from above, it can leave from above. Lachen behistalek haor, when the light goes away, betela ha'ahava shenista'ef mimena. This is the point. Why is this so painful? Because while you were so high from this moment that came down from above, what were you feeling? What's the word? Huh? Love. And now what are you not feeling? That love. Meaning Hashem loves me. And then, which is what we want to feel. But what happens is that when that high leaves, the certainty of what I experienced of Hashem's love for me also leaves. Do you know what that does to our neshamas? Unfortunately, some of us really do know what that does to our neshamas. The place we want to be in more than anything is that, Abba, you love me. Mommy, you love me. However you want to refer to the Rebbe Shlema. So if that's the case, if the Alter Rebbe just explained to us a scenario of feeling the love Hashem has for me fading, that means that he gave me the opportunity, the ability to plug into a world that makes sure that I don't rely on those moments. And that's a matnas, that's a gift that we have to say thank you to the Alter Rebbe for forever. So he ends off here on the bottom. V'zeu hasiba lema shekovlim el atzmam ba'alei avoda al heos behem ruach tehara v'yis'orus la'avodas Hashem al kama shavuos ve'achar kach posekes legamre. This is the reason why there's people that they call themselves ba'alei avoda, because they do sense this ruach tehara, this spirit of purity, v'yis'orus, and an awakening for avodas Hashem for a few weeks. Ve'achar kach poseket legamre, and then it completely stops. The reason is because this awakening was only from above. Because what happens afterwards is that you're back in the same exact place where you were in the beginning. So, it's mamish hashgacha that this is one of the last things we're learning together on this trip. Because I really hope and pray that you believe in what you've felt this week, because it was your Yegias HaNefesh and your Yegias HaBasar. This was not here. Don't change anything in your life. Don't make any arrangements. Just show up. Because if that was the case, you'd all be tripping now, and the trip would end. Literally, tarte mashma, the trip would end, and the trip would end as well. That's why it's important. When I began, and I said, I want you to go into your minds, into the avoda that you put into making for this trip to be a possibility for you. And even if you feel like it was a gift from someone, a friend, a spouse, a parent, you still had to make different arrangements in order to make sure that you could do this. And the hemshech is like, so what now, right? Well, you'll see that there's going to be a lot of aftershocks after this earthquake. Many. Last year, the women in Efrat got together on Friday night when they came back for a tish in our house. I stayed upstairs in my room. I had a fan on. I closed the door. I really didn't want to hear, not because I'm so frum and I'm so makbid, I'm making sure I don't hear women singing. It wasn't that. It was that I wanted it to be their own thing, right? The singing was so loud. The giggling was so loud. It was so loud. It was so vibrant. But that was the hemshech of the kli of a vessel to continue to prepare the heart for what's next. And I am so proud of the women in our kehillah. I'm so proud. Whenever I'm asked any shaylas about our community, you could check, not to sound commercial, but check any interview or check any newspaper article. Whenever I'm asked, it's always the sense of the women are leading by us. They're preparing their heart. There's a conscious hakrava, sacrifice of their schedule, their lives, is surrounded by what are they doing? What are they actively working on right now to make sure that their heart is ready for the next shlav of avodas Hashem? Because there's a sense of responsibility that we have to give our children the concept that Hashem loves them. How does that happen? With consistency, with seder, with the Alter Rebbe's voice telling us, don't rely on highs. Don't rely on highs. Even if they feel real, which they are, they don't last. Rely on the seichel that Hashem gave you to use your kochos to prepare your heart for what Hashem wants to give you. This is Isarusa Dilatata. This is the awakening from below, which you've all done, which you'll figure out if you keep the hisbodedus, if you keep the conversation going with the Ribono Shel Olam, you'll figure out what's next. It's not this. This can happen once a year. If Baruch Hashem that this is not something we're saying now, we're going to come back every month, because then this will also be just highs, it'll just be injections. It's not supposed to be. What's supposed to be is taking everything that we have from here into my conversation with the Ribono Shel Olam, moving forward and trusting that as long as I continue to become real and authentic to myself and listen to my heart, then Aleph, my hisbodedus won't sound like a broken record. We'll have hischatshus in my speech, like Rabbi Nachman told us yesterday in Gan Sofia. But Beis, I'll feel this sense of love that doesn't fade away. It might change. It might feel, sometimes I'll feel the love in a more gvuradik way. It won't always feel like chesed. Sometimes it'll feel like gvura. It'll go through all the midas. But whatever it is, it won't be love that fades away. It'll be ahava she'ena tluya b'davar, unconditional love that lasts and that has a makom that stays. And that's my biggest bracha for all of us here, that we feel that Hashem loves us and that we are actually part of making that sensation be more and more real by our choices in our life.
Amen.
All right, shukran everyone.